In 2003, Malaysia was rocked by a shocking crime. A 28-year-old information analyst and black belt taekwondo martial artist mysteriously vanished after attending a party one evening. Through in-depth investigation, the mystery was gradually uncovered, yet the truth behind it sent shivers down the spine of many. The Last Supper. The incident took place in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, one of the two capitals of Malaysia and its most populous city, with a population of about 2 million people. The main figure of this story is Canny Ong, born on July 18, 1974. She is of mixed heritage with a Chinese father, Ong Bijeng, a high school principal, and an Indian mother, Pearly, a teacher. Canny was viewed by her family and friends as beautiful, successful, and virtuous, known for her kindness and filial piety. Besides her striking appearance, she was also passionate about sports, especially taekwondo, in which she had achieved the highest rank of black belt. Despite her martial arts prowess, she was also academically gifted. In 1995, after graduating with honors, she left Malaysia to study information technology at the University of California in the U.S. She later became an outstanding IT analyst. During her time in the U.S., she met Brandon Ong, a handsome Chinese-American man. The beautiful couple was the envy of many. In 2001, they married and lived happily with a promising future and a high income. Early in 2003, her father was diagnosed with cancer during a routine health checkup. Fortunately, it was detected relatively early, and the prognosis for recovery was high. Learning that her father had contracted a rare type of cancer and required dangerous surgery, Canny dropped everything to return to Malaysia to care for him. Family was the most precious thing in her heart. On June 1, 2003, she booked her flight from the United States back to Malaysia and devotedly cared for her father in the hospital. Together, they endured the surgery. Fortunately, the operation was a success, and her father's health began to recover well, which greatly relieved her. After more than 10 days of caring for her father, she noticed that his health had significantly improved. Thus, she planned to return to her work in the United States. On June 14th, everything was going well, and the family decided to throw a farewell party before she left Malaysia. Little did anyone know, disaster would strike her after the farewell party. So, what happened to her that day? Let's rewind time back to June 13, 2003. One day before Canny Ong was due to leave Malaysia and head back to the United States, her family organized a farewell party for her. The party included only family members and a few close friends. It was held at a restaurant in the Bangsar shopping center at 8:00 p.m. Canny Ong drove her mother to the restaurant. The parking garage at the shopping center was quite empty and dark due to broken lights. Running late, they hurried to the restaurant after parking the car. On the way, she suddenly remembered that she had forgotten the parking ticket in the car. At that time, most parking lots in Malaysia had a different payment system than what we might be accustomed to. You would take a ticket at the entrance and then pay the parking fee at a different location, which usually wasn't at the exit, so you had to keep the parking ticket with you. She told her mother, "Never mind. I'll get it after we eat." When they reached the restaurant, others had already arrived, and everyone was enjoying the dinner. Canny Ong seemed to have endless conversations with friends she hadn't seen in years. At 10:00 p.m., despite wanting to stay longer to chat with friends, she decided to take her tired mother home first, planning to return afterwards. Then, she escorted her mother and sister out first. While queuing at the ticket counter, she realized that she had left her ticket in the car. After telling her mother and sister to wait, she quickly went down to the parking garage via the elevator. The distance from the queue to the parking area wasn't far, but 20 minutes passed, and her mother and sister had not seen her return. They called her, but she didn't pick up. Growing increasingly worried, they decided to go down to the parking lot, only to find her car missing, and her as well. They hurried back to the restaurant to report what had happened. Multiple calls were made to her phone, but there was no response, and eventually, the phone was turned off. However, the parking garage had security cameras, so they immediately went down and asked the security staff to review the footage. According to regulations, surveillance footage could only be checked after midnight. Finally, after pleading from the family, the security staff agreed to let them check the surveillance video. What appeared on the screen shocked everyone. At 10:16 p.m., while Canny Ong was struggling to find her parking ticket, an unknown man approached her from behind. Although she was a black belt in Taekwondo, her expertise was in sport, not real combat. She tried to resist fiercely after being attacked. The man struck her multiple times in the abdomen and chest, paralyzing her momentarily. Then, the man dragged her into a car and drove away. The car raced through the parking lot, smashing the barrier arm in its haste. However, due to poor lighting, the surveillance camera was unable to capture the kidnapper's face clearly. After witnessing her daughter being kidnapped, Leong immediately called the police. Unwilling to just wait for the police, everyone decided to drive around Kuala Lumpur in search of her. 4 a.m. After hours of fruitless searching, Canny's mother and sister decided to return home. They were exhausted after spending the whole night driving around the city looking for her, and now their only hope was the police. For 2 consecutive days, both the police and Canny Ong's family had no leads. Therefore, the family decided to seek help from the media. They issued numerous missing person notices and offered a reward of 10,000 ringgit, equivalent to over $2,000. The incident garnered public attention beyond anyone's expectations, putting immense pressure on the Malaysian police. On June 16th, a patrol officer reported that a car with the same license plate had been found next to an abandoned construction site. The police immediately went to the scene, only to be shocked by the state of the car. The front of the vehicle was damaged, likely from crashing into the parking lot's railing the night before. One of the front tires was also damaged, seemingly from hitting something at high speed, causing the tire to come off. Most horrifying was the large amount of blood found on the backseat of the car. Additionally, traces of semen were found, indicating that Canny Ong had been raped and severely injured. Despite searching the car and the surrounding area, the police found no other evidence. The police also tried calling her phone. Surprisingly, a man answered. They quickly located and confronted the man, Azizan Ismail, a taxi driver. Under police questioning, he claimed that early in the morning of June 14th, while driving to work, he noticed a car parked by the roadside. His own car seat was broken, so he stopped to find a piece of wood to fix it. He then saw a naked woman at the back of the car and a man sitting in the driver's seat. At the time, he assumed they were just a couple involved in intimate activities, so he didn't think much of it. Later, after finishing some errands and on his way home, he saw the same car parked in the original spot. Curious about the possibility of something amiss, he decided to approach the car. Upon looking inside, he saw no one, just a woman's handbag and mobile phone on the back seat. Seeing no one around, he succumbed to temptation, reached through the car window, took the handbag and mobile phone, and left. After further investigation, the police concluded that he had no connection to Canny Ong, and his physical description did not match that of the man caught on camera. He provided a detailed description of the man he saw in the driver's seat, which matched the person seen in the surveillance footage. He had used Canny Ong's phone, leading to his discovery. After consideration, the police ruled him out as a suspect and treated him as a witness. On June 17th, 4 days after Canny Ong went missing, a construction site foreman smelled a terrible odor coming from a drain near the road. Curious, he opened it and was horrified to find a burnt body inside. He immediately called the police. At the scene, they discovered a charred body with 2 car tires under the drain, the arms crossed in front of the chest. The body was mostly burnt to ashes. The autopsy revealed the victim died from 2 stab wounds to the abdomen. The burning seemed to be an attempt to destroy evidence. The victim had been brutally raped multiple times before death, causing severe damage to her genital area. Forensic scientists were also able to successfully extract semen DNA from the victim's body to confirm whether it was Kanyong. The police invited her best friend Natasha and her sister to the hospital. Upon seeing the body, her sister immediately recognized the unburnt pair of jeans. They were the ones she had lent to Kanyong for the dinner. Through DNA confirmation, the body was identified as Kanyong. A woman named Amina Isahak reported to the police that in the early hours of June 14th, she encountered a strange man after experiencing a flat tire. He knocked on her car window and asked to borrow tools to change the tire. She agreed, and her brother, who was also in the car, got out to help the man change the tire. While preparing to change the tire, she noticed a girl sitting in the passenger seat at the back of the car. The girl folded her hands and looked at her, as if pleading for something. Seeing this, Amina got out of the car and approached the girl, intending to speak to her. The man, seeing this, panicked, abruptly stopped changing the tire, jumped into the car, and drove away. At that moment she realized something was wrong, so she noted down the car's license plate, WFN 6871, which was Kanyong's vehicle number. The night before, Kanyong disappeared around 11:15 p.m. Ravichandran, an undercover officer patrolling with his colleague, noticed a blue car parked on the side of the road. Thinking nothing unusual, he moved on. However, more than 30 minutes later, upon returning to the same area, the car was still there. He approached the car to inquire and saw a man sitting in the driver's seat, and a girl who appeared to be sneaking around. He asked them to present their identification. The two in the car cooperated well and provided their IDs. While examining the IDs, he noticed the girl making a series of strange gestures, folding her arms in front of her chest as if pleading for something. Sensing something was wrong, he immediately asked the girl to step out of the car for questioning. As the girl attempted to open the door, the man became aggressive and yelled at the police, claiming, "You are fake police, you are robbers." After yelling, he slammed the car door shut and sped away. The police fired 2 shots at the car, one hitting a tire, but the car still disappeared into the night. Due to the sudden nature of the event, the police did not record the car's license plate, but fortunately, they still had the IDs of the 2 people from the car. At that time, the news of Kanyong's kidnapping had not been widely spread, so they did not realize the importance of the IDs. They submitted the IDs to their superiors, but no one paid attention. Only after the news spread did they review the IDs. One was Ahmad Najib bin Aris, and the other was Kanyong. The police immediately started searching for the man. They checked the address on the ID card and found it was fake, which further confused the police. They only knew the man's name, but had no other information. Eventually the police had to track down his name at the Marriage Registration Office and Social Security Department. They finally obtained results, indicating he was a 27-year-old working for an aircraft cleaning company, and also a manager. They also found information about his wife and home address. To maintain secrecy, the police conducted a stakeout near his home. For 3 days, they saw no sign of him, only his wife entering and leaving the apartment. At 4 a.m. on June 20th, the police finally saw him stepping out of a taxi and walking towards the house. They quickly approached and successfully arrested him. Initially, the police believed he must be extremely cruel to act so savagely, but in reality, when arrested, he did not resist, and even had a calm demeanor, smiling lightly, not resembling a murderer at all. Upon investigation, the police found that Najib was a devout Christian and had no prior criminal record. His family life seemed very happy, with Najib being the director of an aircraft cleaning company, his wife a senior bank employee, and they had a 3-year-old child. At that time, his wife was also 3 months pregnant. Logically, it was puzzling why Najib would commit a crime in such a happy family situation. The police obtained a warrant to search his house and found a blue jacket and blue jeans stained with blood. With the clothes, DNA evidence, and confirmation from Officer Ravichandran, he confessed to everything to reconstruct the entire event. He led the police to the shopping center's underground parking lot and detailed his crime process. He said that on the night of June 13th, he accidentally saw Canny Ong, attractive and beautiful, walking past and followed her and her mother with a motorcycle. After arriving at the parking lot, he noticed there was another person in the car, so he could not act. He left his motorcycle outside and waited in the parking area for an opportunity. After hours of waiting, he was thrilled when Canny Ong walked alone to the parking area. When he saw her searching for something in the front seat, he quickly approached and subdued her with a knife. Fearing discovery, he drove straight through the parking lot barrier and fled. He admitted to raping her twice and, ultimately, because she would not stop resisting, he stabbed her in the abdomen. Seeing her gasping for life, he panicked, not knowing what to do, so he tied her up with a strip of cloth. Then, noticing an uncovered drainage ditch by the roadside, he decided to dump her body there. He also threw 2 car tires filled with cement into the ditch, covered the opening with wooden boards, and quickly fled the scene. The next day he returned with gasoline and a lighter to burn the body. This chilling confession revealed the true extent of Najib's brutality and provided a horrifying conclusion to the tragic disappearance of Canny Ong. The evidence collected by the police, combined with Najib's own admission, helped reconstruct the grim sequence of events that led to her untimely death. His lack of previous criminal history and the seemingly happy family life only added layers of complexity and shock to the case, leaving the community and the nation to grapple with the harsh realities of human nature and the unpredictability of virulent crime. Following his confession, it seemed as though the case against Najib had reached its conclusion, but things were far from straightforward. After his admission of guilt, Najib's family hired a renowned lawyer, Mohammed Hanif, to defend him in the subsequent trial. Najib then retracted all his previous confessions, claiming they were made under duress. He insisted he was innocent, alleging the police threatened him by saying they would imprison his wife, child, and parents if he did not confess, a situation beyond most people's comprehension. However, despite his denials, the evidence such as the blood on his clothes and the DNA evidence was hard to refute. But his lawyer saw things differently. He argued that these were merely circumstantial evidence and that no one actually saw Najib commit the murder. The lawyer also highlighted several inconsistencies in the initial statements. 1. The surveillance footage from the parking garage was very blurry and not definitive proof that the man in the footage was Najib. Even if the man was him, there was no proof he kidnapped Canny Ong. She could have gone with him voluntarily. 2. Canny Ong was a black belt in Taekwondo, while he was an ordinary man. The scenario of him overpowering her did not seem plausible. 3. Canny Ong had 2 apparent opportunities to escape. Once when encountering the police, where she could have opened the door and fled, and another when he was borrowing tools to fix the tire, where she sat alone in the car, but chose not to flee. 4. The police found blood-stained jeans at Najib's house. The lawyer questioned the authenticity of the jeans, since the police did not measure them to confirm they belonged to him. 5. Despite clear evidence that Canny Ong was sexually assaulted, Najib claimed that their interaction was consensual. suggesting that their relationship led to an unintended tragic outcome. After the defense's arguments were presented, public opinion was divided. While most believed the lawyer was merely defending a criminal, some began to question whether Najib was the actual perpetrator. Subsequently, criminal psychologists addressed the doubts raised by the lawyer. They explained that Taekwondo is primarily a sport focusing on physical fitness, not necessarily effective against an unexpected armed assault. Despite Kenny Yong's martial arts background, being caught off guard, especially with a knife involved, could render her unable to defend herself effectively. Women, in particular, might freeze up in fear, making it difficult to run away or think clearly. Besides the DNA evidence, there were other witnesses. Even though they did not see him commit the murder, their testimonies placed him with her from start to finish, which was hard to dismiss. On March 2, 2005, after a 52-day trial, the court convicted Najib of murder and sexual assault, sentencing him to death for murder and 25 years in prison for sexual assault. He accepted the court's decision but vowed to appeal. In 2007, his appeal was rejected. In 2009, he sought clemency to convert his death penalty to life imprisonment, but this was also denied. On September 2, 2016, he ended his life in prison. Following this case, changes were made to prevent similar tragedies. Measures included creating designated parking areas for women at major shopping centers, installing more surveillance equipment, and adding emergency call buttons in buildings. However, these facilities can only reduce crime, not eliminate it entirely. Therefore, when going out, it's crucial to always be cautious and vigilant. The video ends here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.